Here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this. I pray for you. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job.
Watch what happens here. Right out of the gate, you see the stakes of this hearing laid bare. Senator Booker isn't just asking questions, he's hitting hard on accountability, integrity, and the very core of how our nation's law enforcement operates. And Patel? He's on the defensive, scrambling to justify actions that are, quite frankly, unprecedented in modern FBI history. Pay attention to this. Booker is not interested in political games or evasive sidesteps. He's methodically exposing a pattern, the systematic purge of career FBI officials, the misalignment of priorities, and what he frames as a direct assault on the institutional integrity of the FBI. This isn't just finger-pointing. This is a moment that, if you watch closely, shows how power and accountability collide in a very public arena. From the opening words, you can feel the tension. Booker sets the tone. This hearing isn't a polite conversation. This is a reckoning. And the very first lines of his questioning hint at something explosive. He's circling around a central accusation that Patel is involved in political retaliation, something he categorically denied under oath before his confirmation. The tension here is electric because the audience already knows the stakes. Loyalty versus law. Political pressure versus public safety. Every word, every pause, every defensive shrug from Patel is building toward a confrontation that you can see coming a mile.
Yes, sir.
Did I have discussions with the White House to remove FBI personnel?
Yes.
No.
So you're saying that you had no discussions with the White House before you were in the position about the removal of any personnel from the agency?
As I was preparing for my confirmation hearing, I had numerous discussions involving the type of people that would be employed and that those that were failing to meet the mark at the FBI would no longer be employed if I were confirmed.
And I'm assuming that mark had to do with loyalty to the Trump administration.
No, you're wrong.
Okay. I'd like to revisit another subject from that hearing. Did you testify, you did testify before the grand jury that President Trump had declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Is that correct?
I don't have the grand jury transcript. That's why I released it. Whatever it says is the best evidence.
That's what you said to Senator Whitehouse, that your grand jury testimony was publicly released. It has not been. In fact, in July, a court denied a news outlet's bid to get that transcript. But the court said quite clearly that you are free to discuss your grand jury testimony. So I ask you again, did you testify before the grand jury that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case?
And that is why I took your invitation to work with the department and the court to have that transcript released. And the transcript is the best evidence of what I said then.
So you're saying right now this committee can have access to what you said before the grand jury?
To whatever was released. Under my understanding, Senator, that the Department of Justice
You and I both understand the law. Let me finish. I understand under Rule 6 of the Federal Rules of Procedure, a grand jury witness, in this case you, is not barred from sharing their grand jury testimony. This is an oversight hearing. This is germane to your integrity and credibility. You know right now whether or not you testified that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Why are you refusing to answer that simple yes or no question right now?
Because the premise of your question is inaccurate, and
there is no premise to my question, but trying to get to an order of what is truth or not.
How do you How do you know what was asked in the grand jury if you weren't there?
Mr. Patel, this is a mockery you're making of this hearing and simple questions.
It's a simple question. If you have
Mr.
a
Patel,
transcript,
during
you can
your
read the
nomination
question, but you don't have it.
You promised that, quote, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. When I asked you, are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with the Trump administration, you explicitly said under oath that you were not aware of any plans to punish FBI agents associated with criminal investigations of Donald Trump. I don't believe you were truthful. Firing FBI employees based solely on the cases that they are investigating, their case assignments, is illegal, and you know that. A new lawsuit that's been discussed numerous times, filed by 3 FBI officials, alleges that you carried out Donald Trump's campaign of retribution, in quotes, against FBI employees for, quote, failure to demonstrate sufficient political loyalty. One of those plaintiffs has been discussed today, Brian Driscoll. Now, we know 20 years of distinguished service to the FBI before you terminated him. Special agent in charge of FBI's Newark field office, where he operated with distinction. Medal of Valor winner, Shield of Bravery awards. He's a patriot. You terminated Driscoll via a letter dated October 8th, 2025, and in that letter you said that you were firing him pursuant to Article 2 of the Constitution. Well, you're not the President of the United States, and so I'm wondering under what authority you were allowed to terminate him.
That matter is under litigation, and I'm not able to discuss it.
Okay, well, discuss this. Did you have discussions with Stephen Miller about firing this particular person or about his continuance in the FBI?
Not that I recall.
How often do you speak to
Here's where it gets ugly. Patel is trying to walk a razor-thin line, denying discussions with the White House about personnel, while simultaneously hinting he had conversations about performance and loyalty. Watch his language. Careful, precise, almost robotic. But Booker isn't buying it. Every denial is met with a follow-up, each one sharper than the last. This is textbook high-stakes questioning. Booker takes the audience through the timeline, through the facts, Driscoll's long decorated career, his Medal of Valor, and then the abrupt termination, citing Article 2 of the Constitution as justification. That's a jaw-dropper. Patel isn't the president, yet here he is, claiming authority that seems to overreach his actual power. This is exactly the kind of moment that makes people lean forward in their seats. Notice how Booker escalates, building the crescendo. He's not just asking about one agent, he's framing a systemic issue. He highlights thousands of purged officials, lowered hiring standards, and the diversion of FBI agents from mission-critical investigations to politically favorable priorities. And then comes the bombshell. 20% of agents reassigned to immigration enforcement at the expense of investigations into violent crime, foreign influence, and human trafficking. Every fact here is a hammer blow. You can feel the tension climbing. The narrative is clear. This isn't just bureaucratic reshuffling. This is a weakening of national security. And Patel? He's reacting, not controlling. Every answer he gives is defensive, each explanation more convoluted than the last. This segment alone sets the table for why the audience will remember this hearing, not for subtlety, but for drama and exposed contradiction.
Not that I recall.
How often do you speak to Stephen Miller?
Frequently on our Homeland Security task forces.
You frequently talk with Stephen Miller about subjects other than Homeland Security task force issues, correct?
I frequently talk to Mr. Miller about Homeland Security task forces.
Has Stephen Miller ever given you his opinions on how to run your agency?
Mr. Miller's interagency operations are invaluable to the FBI. That's what we talk about.
So you frequently discuss your job and your responsibilities with Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi, I imagine, as well.
Absolutely. She's the Attorney General.
Understood. Okay. Donald Trump promised to make us all safer. You have pushed out senior FBI agents with decades of knowledge and experience. In fact, this is the first time in FBI history that neither the director nor the deputy director have any experience with the FBI. You've shifted the agency's priorities primarily to pursuing Donald Trump's immigration enforcement agenda. According to ICE data, the Cato Institute, which is a conservative think tank, found that 20% of all agents have been diverted from their work to assist ICE immigration enforcement. 20%. Part of this operation is the work of mass law enforcement who jump out of cars, snatch people off streets at churches, schools, and their jobs and hospitals. Have there been any FBI agents who investigate crimes against children that have been assigned to immigration enforcement, yes or no?
The premise of what you say is entirely
Have there been
false.
any FBI agents
No,
who
no,
investigate
no.
foreign domestic terrorism?
You don't get to say America is not safer under this leadership.
I am not saying
America
that.
is
You're
safer
making
because of the work of the FBI.
You're making a presumption of premise.
4,700 children.
Sir,
we have seized 6,000 weapons and
you are not
23,000 violent felons have
that
been
FBI
arrested.
agents who investigate human trafficking have been reassigned to immigration enforcement. You are not denying that FBI agents who are on the task force that fight against Russian oligarchs have not been reassigned. Public Correction Squad reassigned. People who defend us, defend children reassigned. You're not denying that. I've seen you time and time again attack my colleagues' premises of questions as a way to not answer the question. So let me end with this. I believe you have made our country weaker and less safe. I believe that we are more vulnerable to a major event, and I pray to God it doesn't happen. You've gutted the Bureau of Institutional Knowledge and Expertise. You fired or pushed out seasoned FBI officials, many with more than 20 years of experience, and were working on cases that were critical. You've been purging thousands of serious law enforcement officials who spent their careers keeping us safe, only to lower hiring standards in order to find anyone to replace them. And shockingly, you admitted in this hearing to Senator Coons that it would take 14 years to fill the vacancies at your agency. Many are the result of your purge. 20% of FBI agents are doing low-level immigration enforcement instead of their mission-critical work. You've disbanded entire task forces that stop election interference, foreign influence, public corruption. And who benefits from this? Well, corrupt people benefit from it. Criminals benefit from it. Vladimir Putin benefits from it. And it really makes me wonder who you're looking out for. It makes me think we can't trust you as a nation. You swear to release the Epstein files, but now you're withholding the Epstein files. You claim that you have a suspect in a serious assassination. Whoops, then you don't have a suspect. You know nothing about plans to remove FBI agents, yet you're directly involved in those plans. In the words of an ex-FBI official, you are overseeing, and I quote, generational destruction.
This is the payoff. Patel finally tries to reclaim control, listing arrest numbers, weapons seizures, child predator arrests, his litany of law enforcement accomplishments. But here's the thing. The delivery comes across as defensive, almost frantic. He's piling numbers to distract from the structural failures highlighted just moments before. Booker, meanwhile, doesn't relent. He frames the numbers against the broader picture, the erosion of expertise, the gutting of task forces, and the diversion of talent. This isn't just a debate, it's a narrative clash between perception and accountability. The tension is visceral. Patel is shouting statistics. Booker is shouting truth to power. Every data point Patel offers is met with a cold recalibration by Booker, who forces the audience to ask the hard question: is quantity of arrests enough to outweigh the systemic risk created by purges and political interference? Pay attention to how the emotional energy builds. This isn't just a hearing, it's theater. But the stakes are real. Lives are at risk. National security is at stake. And the audience gets to watch it unravel in real time. And notice the subtle power dynamics. Patel flounders, Booker's momentum grows. You can almost see the points being scored in the court of public opinion. Here's why this matters. The exchanges here will circulate. Clips from this hearing will define how people perceive both leadership and accountability at the highest levels. This is the moment where the narrative crystallizes. Patel is defensive, evasive, reactive. Booker is relentless, sharp, and systematically dismantling the veneer of control. By the end, it's clear who drove the hearing's narrative and who merely reacted to it. From a content perspective, this is pure gold. Two contrasting figures, escalating tension, public stakes, moral framing, and visible cracks in authority. That's what makes for viral political commentary, clarity, drama, and replayable moments that make viewers stay glued to every second. If you want more breakdowns like this where powerful people get pressed on the record, hit subscribe and drop your take in the comments. Who do you think came out stronger in this hearing? And what was the one moment that changed the whole exchange?